yesterday.
Is that like really knocking into his sleep?
Yeah, like past 2 nights he just keeps waking up. He had you see it with like he has really like bad gas, and then he's like wailing and wailing and wailing, and then suddenly he'll go quiet and you just hear this massive shot. But bless him, yeah, he's not had much of a problem with that before, so I'm not really sure what it set it off. It sounds like a little bug that you might have picked up from like a play group or something.
Yeah, it happens. I should have probably warned you that we're live.
Oh well.
Yeah, shit happens.
People
quite literally.
That's it. Quite literally, yeah.
So how are you, man? How have you been? Good to have you on the channel. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Life's good. It's hard, as we've been talking about. It's tough.
Yeah.
Having a little baby. Well, he's not a little baby anymore. He's 15 months old.
Sure.
The routine is quite difficult. Like trying to get work and trading and getting to the gym and having time to yourself, but also trying to balance having a little guy that wants to be with you all the time. You don't want to say no to him. No. And like the first maybe 9 months or so, 9-10 months, kind of the period you're in with yours, was like it was a little bit easier to like not it's just going to sound harsh, but not want to spend time with him.
Yeah, no, I get that completely. It's quite exhausting under the age of 1 because it's just, they're focused on something for 10 seconds and then it's something else, and it's this constant, you have to keep being attentive. And I imagine also once they start communicating a bit more, it's a bit more rewarding. I mean, I'm fucking completely in love with my baby girl, obviously. But,
it's different. My mate's got, he's just had a little baby boy. He's got a girl. He's 2 years old, and he said the difference between like how he feels for them as a boy and a girl is completely different. And like as soon as he hit this age where he starts, when you tell him to do something and he's like, oh, I understand, and then he goes and does it, like it becomes way more interesting.
Sure.
And like playing with him is a completely different world. So like sometimes I sit in here, I'm in the garage, it's why I renovated my office just like
it's nice.
Nearly a year ago now. Cheers, man. And it was needed because the baby screaming constantly when he was little, and it just distracts you from trading, it distracts you from everything.
Sure.
Couldn't do YouTube as well, obviously, because you have to be quiet if he's sleeping.
Yeah.
So like I'm in here 7 hours a day, and it's like a pull to get back into the house and be with him. So it's a bit of a juggle, and you're going to probably find that in the coming months as well, that you want to spend less time on the computer. But life is good. Otherwise, it's such a blessing, isn't it? Like having a little baby is, it's like the best thing.
Yeah. What I say to people is it's a massive roller coaster. I'm not just going to say it's all great, because obviously, as you know, it's tattered with difficulties, right? But it's net positive. It's net.
Yeah, you got to take the rough with the smooth, haven't you?
Yeah. I said that to someone the other day. I said it's net positive. They said, "Fucking hell, you're such a trader." I was like, I can't really argue against that.
Lifestyle checks out, exactly.
That's it.
This is why we do it.
That's it, man. So, trading wise, how have you been faring? Has the kids thing knocked into that as well? How are you feeling about your trading? Actually, let's ask that instead.
It's my crypto side of things has gone really well over the past few months. Kind of smashed it, and I sold my Bitcoin. Just one sec.
Yeah, no worries. Can you guys just let us know if you can hear us okay as well? I believe you can, but just let us know as well.
Yeah, we did this before, didn't we?
Should at least check.
The crypto side of things, which is probably like 5 to 10% of my trading over the past couple of months, has gone like a bit more, like 80%.
Okay, well, really.
And because I sold all my Bitcoin sort of like early to mid October, and I put that up publicly. I thought there was a top. About 110k I sold it, so it was actually a really good exit given the way things have gone.
That's solid, man.
And once I got confirmation that things were going to just keep breaking down, I've just been smashing Solana, been smashing ETH on the short side. Bitcoin's not been as not easy, but as clean as those. Yeah. Like I think when I look at the Solana chart, for example, it reminds me of Bitcoin from years gone by. It's like you've got really clean patterns, you've got really clean trends, and it respects levels really nicely. So on that side of things, crypto's been doing really well. Nice. But I think over the next month or so, like it'll probably slow down for me. as we get into a bit more of a ranging market.
Sure.
Still think we've got further downside, but when crypto ranges, I don't take that many trades. And then my bread and butter is Forex, which I trade cable every single day, GBP, USD. And literally over the past 2 months, I'd say it's just basically been break even. It goes up, goes down, comes back up, goes back down, comes back up. And that's kind of a lifestyle thing. I've been going through a lot of stress in the house.
Sure.
And I trade it on M1, so it's like a little bit more difficult. Whereas I've been trading crypto on mostly M15.
Okay.
And is a little bit more relaxed,
How come the sort of difference there between timeframes? I suppose that's quite interesting because that's quite a big jump, obviously.
Yeah, with Forex, I've been trading the same particular style now for about 3 years. I'd say about 3 years, and with GBP USD, I just trade it in the London session and then pre-New York session, so I know when the volatility is going to be there.
Yeah.
And having come from a swing trading background, I much prefer day trading. I much prefer just watching the market, being really active in it, and knowing I can get in and get out in the same session, or just completely skip the session, and then it doesn't bleed into the rest of my day, so I can go spend it with the family, I can go to the gym, I can go out and like not constantly checking my phone to see what's up. Whereas with crypto, you'll never really know when the volatility is going to come in. It kind of follows the legacy markets a little bit more now with the typical session times with London and New York. Mm-hmm. Kind of act like I've been used to it over the years gone by, where it doesn't really do that. It just kind of randomly spikes. And so I look at it kind of, I've got my own little Discord group now, and like I give the market analysis out each morning, so I'm a little bit more on top of the market. And I've noticed like the M15 timeframe, I could get a trade like early doors when I get up in the morning. It could be like mid-afternoon. It could be in the evening. If I like, once the baby's gone to bed, and like I let my missus, like she's got her own hobbies that she does, so we don't have to spend every night with each other.
Sure.
But when I might be at the computer, do some YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll have the charts or like on the other side of the screen. I'll see something setting up. So yeah, I prefer it on that time frame. I even looked like the other day. It was before one of the news that came out, I think on Thursday. Can't remember. Mm-hmm. And I looked at Solana on M1, and it just goes absolutely batshit crazy, and it's really unpredictable.
Sure.
So I wouldn't trade it on M1, but yeah, I prefer it on like M5, M15. M5 at like the minimum, I'll trade it. But M15 is kind of a sweet spot for me, because my style is basically, I'll wait for a little bit of consolidation at a key area, and then once I notice it's going to break up or break down and the volume kicks in, I'll jump in. And usually, if I've done everything correctly, about 90% of the time, the chart will just move away from my entry really quickly.
Sure.
And that's kind of when I try to get in the market, but it's really hard to time that with crypto.
Sure.
But with Forex, I know particularly in that session at some point it's going to happen on M1.
Sure.
So yeah, that's a kind of reason why.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think we have completely different styles, obviously, and different approaches, and obviously with that comes different obstacles. So for instance, you saying it moves away from your entry quite quickly. I'm a swing trader and I'm trying to move more into the higher time frames, more towards position trading. And obviously with that you have to suffer being underwater at times for prolonged periods. I mean days, sometimes up to a week sort of thing. So yeah, that comes with its own sort of psychological challenges, and trying to get comfortable with that is its own thing. But you said you took a trade recently on Solana, right?
I've took several, yeah. It's been like really nice this past week. It's been like, obviously it broke down and it started ranging, and then every time it went to the top of this range, it's like an extra opportunity to. Do you
mind showing us?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Can you like a chart run through and see what your sort of typical setups would be and the trades you took and that sort of thing? That'd be incredible.
Get this all sorted. Yeah.
You should be able to share. Yeah.
There we go. Can you see that?
Yeah, man. Got it.
I jumped down to M15.
Okay.
I actually put a tweet up.
Yeah.
Over here, somewhere around here, and I said if it gets to 170, I think you can short it down to 125, and it basically hit it on the head, 171. It got to
just swept that high,
and then it's just swept this low. So my idea for it, and I've been saying this for months actually, since it was like up here, was that when this is the daily time frame now, so price moves all the way down here, and then you've got a downtrend essentially, and then you've got here is like the resistance point. So when price revisits it, noting that we're in a downtrend, it should respect it and keep going lower, but it doesn't. And then what happens is... Can I
just stop you as we go, and just because obviously we look at the charts and the markets in completely different ways. Why is that a resistance point for you? Because for me, I wouldn't pick that out as resistance unless we're looking at lower time frames or something.
Yeah, sure. Let me just get rid of that line then. So what I would do here is, you see you'll have a series of different lows, like just lower lows on this downtrend, and then you've got the lower highs.
Yeah.
And then what I would do is, I would say you've got this low here.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll just engulf that. And then this point here, you see this wick. I don't know how well you can see my screen.
No, I can see it badly, yeah.
So this wick is basically where the sell-off happened to come down and take out this low. So this is like the origin of that move, essentially. And so I would mark it as a supply zone.
Okay.
I mark the extreme of levels rather than the entire level. You'll see a bunch of people on Twitter with like $50 like massive supply zones like this. So I mark the extreme of it because that's where the information is. So the sell-off happens here.
Okay, so you're mapping it on this time frame. You'd mark this as a daily supply zone by taking the sort of top of the wick there, and you're doing that just by best judgment, as opposed to you're not fitting around anything there. Do you know what I mean? So you're just doing it as sort of best judgment.
Yeah. So like, let's take this one here for example. Shit, I always do that. Let's take this one here for example. So you've got a typical supply zone. You've got your rally. You've got a base. You've got a drop. So I typically mark it. I mean, if you've got the whole zone, you'd probably mark it with this big red candle, but it doesn't give you much accuracy. So what I do is noting, I've been trading supply and demand for like nearly 11 years, right? I've never changed my style. And I've noticed with a supply and demand zone, it will always gravitate towards the extreme of the level. I don't know why. And sometimes it will, if let's say you've got a zone like this, and then you've got the high of it and the low of it. When it comes up, sometimes it will, if you're in a strong trend, it will come to the shallow part and then continue. But sometimes what it will do is it will bounce off of it and then move up to the extreme and then continue. So I always just mark the extreme. It's just kind of something I've always done. So here, just to go back to this.
Sorry to interrupt you again, but if you just go down to the lower time frames on that daily, maybe to like the 15 minute, let's say. And just want to see what it looks like on the lower time frames, basically that daily supply you were just talking about.
I don't have the data.
Oh, I haven't got. Maybe hourly. Yeah. Try hourly.
Try hourly. Yeah. Yeah. Here we go.
Okay, so it's still kind of a wick even on the lower time frames then.
Yeah. So if I was on this time frame, I would mark the highest close of resistance and then the top wick.
Okay.
Just to make it a little bit cleaner like that. So that I would classify as the extreme of the level. That's where the selling like really kicked off. So you could say that the biggest selling within this kind of area came from here, because you can see the volume kicked in and just like straight line down. Yeah. So on a retest of that, one of the examples that I say to people is like, if you go into like a really low cap meme coin, let's say you've got something with like a 50K market cap, and you go and put like a 10K order on it, you're going to move the market, but your entire position is not going to get filled. So let's say you'll get like half of your position gets filled here, and then on a retest of it, the other half is going to get filled, and then it's going to drop down. It's just supply and demand fundamentals. But this happens on a much larger scale when you've got something with like a 100 billion market cap or whatever, right? But it's exactly the same.
Okay, interesting.
It's the exact same concept. So
yeah, that makes sense from a theoretical standpoint, to be completely honest. I mean, I mark my supply and demand completely different. I'm looking for clusters of price action back and forth, whereby those orders are taking place, not getting filled, and then it's a sharp move away. So I would have that cluster just at the top there, just underneath where your one is. You can see that sort of back and forth as a cluster. And that
just this one here.
Yeah, that one there. So that's like a technical supply zone for me. But
yeah.
Interesting the way that we learn different things and sort of walk down these paths. And
that's right.
Here I am 9 years later, you 11 years, and we have completely different ways of charting something which is essentially the same.
exactly the same. Yeah. It's great though. It's amazing, isn't it? This is why I love trading so much, because you can get very similar outcomes with like a different outlook.
Yeah, for sure. And looking at this, a comment that I got on YouTube the other day makes sense. Someone was watching my supply and demand video on there and said that I've been trading for 15 years and this video is complete bollocks. And I was like, well, I don't know about that, because I've been trading this system for the last 9 years, and I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. So there you go.
He sounds unprofitable. I don't think he makes money.
Yeah. Exactly.
So to go back to this, so this is where the lower low was formed back on the daily. This is where the lower low kind of the selling kicked off.
Yeah, sure.
From that point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could also make a case for this one because it's the ultimate part of the swing.
Yeah.
So when it comes back up to continue the trend, it should make a lower high and then make a lower low, but it doesn't. So it puts in this continuation pattern and then pushes up.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a really key area for me, because this is where the market structure changes, because it makes from this point the buying that puts in a higher high.
Okay.
And therefore you'll start looking for longs at that point.
Sure.
You can see then on a retest of this level, price then pushes all the way up to make this high puts in this entire swing. So that for me is the origin of the move. And then really once like this low here had got taken out, that's when I started getting bearish on Solana. I mean, I typically mostly look at Bitcoin, but since I've been doing my market review videos, I've added Solana just for because more people trade it. But it's actually, I found it really clean. So in the same way, like this, once this level got broken, this is where the buying took place to come and make this high, gets a retest, puts a higher low in, and then continues.
Sure.
So really, in my style, it taps it, and then it doesn't have as strong a push up because the level's getting depleted.
Yep.
And then it hits it again, and then you get a lower high, hits it again, and then another lower high.
Exhausted. That's
right. And then breaks through. So that's when I started paying attention to it. I was like, okay, the market structure's definitely changed at this point. And then you'll have someone like XO who will see that exhaustion at this point and sell.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've been saying to him recently is that he's really good at noting the tops and bottoms of things based on exhaustion, whereas my style is more, I want the confirmation of the move first.
I'm the same as you.
That. Yeah. And then and again, it's completely different because he looks very similarly at things. So then on the break of that level, you have, and this is dialing it down back to M15, you can see we have a really small cluster of price, and that is what I'd call an FTR, a failure to return is how I learn it. It's essentially, it fails to return to where it came from.
Yeah, sure.
But when you have those on a break of a really key level, they're usually, particularly if you've got a big trend, they're usually going to hold price down. So once that had been put in, I'd said, where was it? Oh no, that was all the way up here. Sorry, I'm looking at the completely fucking wrong place.
That happens to me all the time. That happens to me all the time. I'll be live streaming, talking about something, and be like, oh shit, yeah, we're talking about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So, I mean, it's still the same thing, because you get essentially what I would call the decision point, which is, again, it's just a supply zone, but it's you've got the supply zone here, you've got your drop, you've got your base, and then you drop. So you've got the supply zone, but it's where the selling kicked off to break this big supply.
Yeah.
So it's and the thing is with supply and demand, I don't know about you, but it's the same way with ICT, where you kind of create a story and a narrative around your levels, because it makes you visualize things better, it makes you understand it a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So even though I think he's full of shit, I think the way he teaches things is you can understand, because if you go into people that trade the order books and market profile and things like that, where you see the buys and the sells in real time, this is just a manifestation of it, right? Going sideways at this point. So here for me, you've got the big sell-off, and then on the break of this big level, you've got this FTR, which is what I was saying before. So price comes down, puts in this high, drops, and then puts a lower high and continues. So I'd said at this point, because it hadn't been reached and like I said before, I always think the extreme of these levels are going to get hit. I would technically have that entire zone as a supply zone, but that is the extreme of it, the top wick and the highest closure resistance. So when it was like down here, I'd said, okay, if it gets to 170, I reckon you've got a really big short.
Yeah.
Because in the same way that this market structure broke, because this was the key demand zone that should have bounced us higher, it breaks, puts in this continuation level.
Sure.
If this continuation level gets broken, then the market structure breaks to the upside, and then suddenly you start looking for longs.
Okay.
However, I've just kind of looked at the fact that we're 3 years into a bull market. We've put in this massive tops across like Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. 500 billion got wiped out in one day. I was like, this is pretty fucking bearish. So I thought if it comes back up here, take a short and take it down to 125, which was back on that daily time frame, the origin of this entire move up. And you can see, yeah, it always returns to sender, in my opinion. Like at some point in time, the origin of moves are going to get hit. And then essentially what I look for is a nice little range to form at the extreme of levels.
Okay.
And then I'll look for the breakdown. So here, price comes up, just draw it like this, comes up, ranges, stabs higher, back into the range, stabs the supply zone again, but then breaks down here below the range, and then fucks around a little bit, can't make any new highs, and then puts up a big push into that supply zone, and then you can see how many red candles to come down and push below this range, and that was my trigger. So this is what I was talking about before. I look for entries like this when the overall range has kind of been exhausted, and this momentum kicks in below the range. I'm like, okay, this is a short with the stop above that.
Okay.
And then Bob's your uncle and does this, and then it does it over and over again. Mm-hmm. So at this point as well, I think a couple of guys in my Discord caught this. You've got a continuation here where you've got this big low like that. I mean, it's a retrace point. It's not like where you'd throw the farm on it. Like you're in a downtrend, it retraces, comes back down to the retrace point. You're not expecting it from a supply and demand perspective to push up. So it ranges, tries to push higher, comes back into the range, puts in a lower high, drops to the bottom of the range, puts in another lower high, and then again you see this big breakdown with momentum, lots of red candles, and then that was the entry. And then exactly the same again, this is what I was talking about, this like over the past week or so, it's been ranging like this. It didn't meet my target. I thought this was on this breakdown it was going to come 100 hit 125, but you've got, I'll just draw it like this. This was on an M5. This is M15 now, but you have the same thing where price comes up to a previous high, ranges, breaks down, pushes back up in a big wick. I think that was the news. And then you can see it starts breaking down again. Okay. And then you've got the same thing here. Price goes sideways, stabs up, drops down with a lot of strength, back into the range, and then comes back.
So is your trigger as it leaves that range then?
Yeah, like I want confirmation that the range is gonna basically hold out. I used to trade probably similar to how you might do now, where you've got this range here, it breaks out of the range, and then you might put a limit order on that range with a stop the other side of it and catch it like that. But I prefer, because I've been on like trading M1, I like to watch the momentum come in for confirmation.
Right.
And then you can see here exactly the same thing, pushes up, stabs into that extreme of the level again, drops back down, puts in a lower high, breaks down below the range, ranges again, and then this is where some news kicked in, put in another stab back into the mid-range, and then once again starts breaking down really cleanly with quite a lot of strength, and then eventually just nukes down to 125. So that's essentially what we've been doing for the past week on Solana. Every time it comes back up, we've just been shorting it, and you can see like in terms of the volume, in terms of like how clean the pattern is, just putting these ranges at the top and then just waiting for the right moment. That's kind of the key thing, and that's something I've had to learn over time, is that although in hindsight these things look really clean and obvious, if you're trading it at the time, you might think at this point, like it's put in a it's put in a higher low compared to this, rips up, comes down, and then it's starting to push up and break to the upside. You might start thinking, right, I need to grab a continuation here instead because it can't break down. But you have to kind of sit through these and wait for the perfect time, really.
Can you just whack an RSI on this chart just so I can see what that would look like as well?
Yeah.
Just going to indicators. Yeah, you haven't used an indicator for a minute.
I think probably the last time. Like the only time I put these on.
I was thinking that 15-minute there would be a bearish divergence, if you can see it. Yeah, exactly. So that's price making higher highs whilst the oscillator makes lower highs. And then also, into an area or level of interest. So that would be my sort of technical trigger, but very similar sort of things. I haven't. I'll hold my hands in the air and say that anything from the 15-minute down, I rarely have any success with. Especially going down to the lower time frames. I was obsessed with the lower time frames for my sort of nascent years, beginning years. I probably shaved off enough years of my life, losing myself in the lower time frame source. But it's always interesting to speak to people who have had success on those time frames and see what they're looking at, sort of thing.
So do you keep this on the RSI? Do you use that?
Yeah, I can share with you. Let's see if I know how to do this. So
yeah, let me ask a quick question here though.
Yeah.
You would see this one here, and then where it's lined up with a supply zone, and you'd be like, okay, this makes sense. But whereas coming down here, this one's obviously showing the opposite, and it's showing at this point here. That looks like a little bit more of a experiencing where you say, I probably wouldn't go long here.
No,
Is that right?
I mean, that's not a divergence down there at the lows for me. So as you can see here, so you can't see my cursor, can you, Matt?
I can't see your screen actually. Hold on. Let me how can I do this?
Well, my screen is your screen, sort of thing. But where we're looking at that 15-minute divergence at the top, the bearish divergence. Yeah, we can see that well, if you just let me share my screen, I can sort of run through this.
Let me maybe I got to stop sharing.
No, I don't think so. I think we're good. I think we can do it at the same time. So if I share entire screen and then pull this across. Go away. We can keep this up here.
There we go. I've just opened it on YouTube. It looks a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see now. Cool.
All right. So if we Sol 15-minute, we're already kind of. So where were we? 15-minute. What date or is it over here?
It was on the 20th of November.
20th of November. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're up here. So yeah, for me, I very much respect what you do. I couldn't trade like that at all. I've never had any success purely price action. My oscillators, my indicators, 2 indicators, RSI and also oscillator are critical to me. I'd feel quite blinded without them, to be completely honest. But yeah, interesting sort of thing. So for me, in this area, I wouldn't have a technical trigger to work with, because for me to have a technical trigger, I need to be operating in an area of business that I want to be doing business in, i.e. an area of left side price action. That's typically either a sweep or a supply and demand zone, and sometimes a support and resistance level, but I tend to use them more for breakouts. So yeah, we could use something like this just for example, and just say that this is the sweep level, and say we've got equal highs in here, right? So 2 stacked highs. When I say stacked highs, I mean a high that hasn't quite swept the previous high, but it's collecting liquidity in that area, sort of thing. And then for me, this wouldn't be a technical sweep level, because for it to be a sweep level that I'd operate in, I need to have nothing here, i.e. no further highs that price could sweep. So it has to be, I call it the final or independent high or low, knowing that that's going to be the last point of stops being wiped out, sort of thing. But let's say for instance that just for sort of demonstration purposes, the chart looks like this, and this is the final high. We've got 2 stacked highs, which makes it more attractive for me in terms of stepping in, because like I say, it's more likely that stops are building up in this area and nothing's wiped out this previous high here. So it's sort of naked and ripe for that in that respect. But yeah, as you can see here, awesome oscillator wise, this is sort of what gives me the big confidence in taking this trade, because here we have lower highs.
Yeah.
We have that double agreement across the awesome oscillator. So at times you can have the lower highs on the RSI, but you won't see that print on the awesome oscillator, and it'll be, maybe flat topped or perhaps showing slight higher highs. So to have that sort of double agreement gives you that further confidence, further clarity on the position. Lower highs, and then whilst price is making higher highs. So this tells me that price is getting completely exhausted from a momentum oscillator standpoint. And it gives me that sort of credence and confidence in the trade theory that I can go, okay, cool. Whether I take it on the divergence confirmation candle, which is the first candle in the opposing color, give it some room for the div to keep divving, which can occur, or whether I wait for that sort of, close back inside, a bit more confirmation, give it a bit more space sort of thing. There's 2 different ways that we can do that, So similar sort of playbook, similar systems, but obviously I've got the use of the indicators and oscillators, and I also use Delta. Delta's a big part of my playbook as well, but that's primarily across BTC and ETH, although I'm sort of experimenting with alt Delta as well. But yeah, when trading BTC and ETH, the Delta templates are critical to me. I really could not operate without them, and it just tells me when can you see my Delta chart here?
Yeah, I was just about to ask if we could see it, because I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, so it's basically, so I've gone around the block with Delta. Anyone who's been a sort of avid follower of mine will remember, I think the first time I ever did a live stream was hopping on with EXO. And I ran through an Excel spreadsheet of mine where I'd basically gone through and documented thousands of trades in fine detail based off the footprints and the order flow. I started off in price action, added the indicators, all that sort of stuff, but then moved towards footprints because, like you were saying earlier, things need to make sense for us to really pursue them, So you talking about supply and your logic behind the supply zone and that being revisited and then playing out. For me, the logic in footprints was that it's not hearsay. I was seeing a lot of the things that I was studying at the time was sort of, they seemed fugazi to me, like heat maps, that sort of thing.
Fugazi, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these sort of bids and asks that can just get pulled. I was seeing it all over Twitter at the time. I think heat maps were all the rage, and people were just like, tweeting these heat maps and, big level here, it's going to reverse here, big level here, it's going to reverse here. And I was like, well, these things can just disappear. It can easily be spoofing just as easily as it is a trade theory for you, Yeah. Footprint and Delta is different. The reason it's called footprints is because you've left a footprint in the dirt, left a footprint in the sand behind you. It's stuff that's actually just taken place. And there's no hearsay. You're basically what you're seeing is the Delta shows you the interaction between market and limit orders, right? And the theory is that the stronger, more influential, they call it the stronger hand in the market, operates within limit format because he or they cannot operate in market form for reasons of slippage or fees, right? They're just gonna eat too much. They're gonna skew the books. They're gonna move price too much. So when they want to step in and sort of start pivoting price and moving it in a certain direction, they have to do that through limit orders, right? So again, that was the first sort of piece of the puzzle in terms of logic that made sense to me, as well as it not being hearsay but being after the fact. And essentially, and then on the flip side of that, you're seeing, the logic on the market side of things is that, everyone that operates, well, most of the participants that operate within market are doing so with smaller size. They're less experienced, they're less influential, and those are the buy bit apes, right? The retail that come through, and they're hitting positions. Basically, me when I started trading, don't even know what leverage is, just trying to exercise that dopamine addiction that we all seem to suffer from at the beginning, and that sort of gambler's mindset, and just coming in and just hitting trades market and doing so, not knowing that they're playing into the stronger participant. So yeah, Delta tells me where that's taking place, basically. So what you really want to see is sort of positive delta at the highs and negative delta at the lows. But then, sometimes those stronger participants can get completely overwhelmed as well and get caught offside. And that's something to take into account. It's not as simple as just, them moving the market consistently through limits. And when you see negative delta at the lows or positive delta at the highs, it is just going to reverse the market. I try and teach my students this when they get to a sort of slightly higher level, because it is sort of higher level theory in terms of understanding the delta dynamics. What you really want to see is how much negative delta is it taking to move the market, and then how much positive delta as well. So you can see that throughout this whole look back period, we're on the hourly here, and we're going back to October, end of October sort of thing. And you can see that really we've seen tons of negative delta here, okay? Tons of negative delta, which, by the theory I was just speaking about, you'd expect to see price move upwards, but that hasn't happened, okay? Whereas the positive delta here, it took very little positive delta to then move price all the way down here, right?
Right.
So that then sort of just gives you an idea of the strength of the trend, who's in control, and again, it's a sort of momentum-based, I'm not going to call it an indicator, but dynamic or graph that you can look at and sort of deduce the momentum of the trend alongside the oscillators, and then, of course, price action. I mean, you're a price action trader solely. I'm a price action first trader, right? So everything is PA first for me, and then I'll be looking at. I mean, for me personally, I call this PA, the indicators as well. But again, just semantics and nuances, really. But for me, it's trading view first, and then sort of order flow and delta and all of that sort of stuff second. I think with the crypto markets, it is harder to use order flow because there's just a lot of toxic flow. So, when I was getting lost in the footprints and spending years there, was just seeing tons of toxic flow as well, which was giving false signals and making it hard to sort of execute on the lower time frames as well. But we live and we learn and we crack on, and I'm very happy with a more reduced histogram format here, where it's much more simple. I'm not looking at stacked imbalances. I'm not looking at the FPBS. I'm not looking at all these 100 other sort of things that I was doing that was essentially giving me information overload within granular footprints.
I suppose that's part of it, though, isn't it? Like, to understand what you don't want to be doing, to then shape it to what you want to be doing, to bring it down to like a simple or a more simple version for you to understand it. I guess that's part of it. Just like everyone goes through that process, I guess, which is why I think it takes so long to get profitable consistently with trading, because you might pick something up that works in certain market conditions and then go, hey, I'm profitable after a year. And then you go through this like 3-year period where everything you're trying just like goes to shit and you can't understand why. And then you kind of refine things. But like when I look at all of this stuff, I put up a post on X the other day and was like, the way people talk about their systems makes me feel really dopey, because
I saw that
like all of, like I'm just like, I'll put a line on it and like a colourful box, and then I'll just like go long or short at it.
But you know what? That's how I know you're legit as well, Matt. Because as you go through the years, with every passing month, with every passing year, you realise that actually simplicity is really key. And one of the tweets that I put out over the last few days was basically me just waking up and having some time on the toilet ruminating about trading and the charts, as I always do. And I just feel like, fuck it, I'm going to write this tweet about just being honest about how difficult it is to make decisions, and how I still struggle to make decisions, and how I'm feeling like I'm still straddling the fence 49-51 oftentimes when I'm taking having to take a decision in the markets. And if I just pull this across, you should still be able to see me.
I see you.
I was talking about a potential, so on BTC, was talking about a potential deviation play and sweep of the lows when we were up here, right? Because you see it over and over again, and it's a pattern that it's a very, very clear continuation pattern which baffles a lot of new traders. Plays against their sort of panic and stuff, is that you have these sort of ranges that form, and then the lows get taken out, their stops get wiped, and then we continue, and again we have it here, albeit not a sweep. So this is a sweep here, this is a deviation by my book, right? Deviate the range and then enter back in. So if it's not broke, don't fix it, sort of thing. And I was hoping for the same sort of setup again, because I tend to operate quite well in those areas, and there are areas which I tend to be able to size into with a lot more confidence, especially with Delta at my side. But that didn't occur here, and we were like, I think last stream I was looking at this here on the 4 hour, and if you go back to just this area in here, we were looking at like a potential 4 hour divergence, which is typically what we want to be seeing in these areas. We want to be seeing divergences that aren't on the 15-minute, 5-minute, but the hourly, the 4 hour and higher time frames forming to say, okay, cool, momentum is diverging in this area and we've got a potential deviation in play. Whether we want to start position building in this area off the back of the divergence, or waiting for a reclaim back in the range, it's up to us. But this, for me, what I was looking at the time is pretty textbook, right? I've got this what I call a wall of fame. It's 30 trades that this basically, I've got all my monitors here, and then behind my desk I've just got loads of screenshots in paper of charts that are just stuck up there with blue tag. And it shows the trading view chart and then also the delta templates as well, and it's basically all BTC, and it's going through historical times where there's been an A-star setup, right? And tons of them they look like this, right? This is classic sort of wall of fame content, because you're waiting for the deviation of an 184-day range. You've practiced your patience, you've practiced your discipline, your stringency, and this is the time to start switching on and doing business in the market. But there was something that felt off with this, and if you want to go back to the last stream and have a look at that, I talk about very, very sort of perceptible elements which made me feel a bit off with the position, but ultimately it was very much on the line. It was again another 49.51 situation, and that's why the tweet was titled "Why is trading so difficult?" Because even after this many years, I still feel like I'm straddling the fence, and I'm like, I've got to just choose one lane to go down. Do I take the trade? Do I not take the trade? But it's still oftentimes a difficult decision for me to make, and I didn't take the trade, and got to be grateful that my intuition sort of guides me through the darkness. Do you know what I mean? It's like a shining light where it sort of shows the path for me, and it helps guide me in that respect. But I'm just very grateful to, like yourself, have the tenacity to stick it out for nearly a decade. So we have harnessed that sort of sense of intuition, which is hard to quantify, hard to teach, or it's impossible to teach through second-hand experience, right? It's only flight hours and stuff that give you that. And again, if we look at the highs up here, just to run through another, this was the last BTC trade I actually took. So in this area here, this was a classic divergence, triple drive, and triple hump structure across the awesome oscillator. So you can see we're on the 4 hour here. The oscillator, both the RSI and the awesome oscillator are making lower highs, and we have that here as well. Lower highs, whilst price makes higher highs here. And you can see that, to give example of that sweep that I was talking about, this is the final independent high up here. There's nothing else that it could stretch for in this area. Okay. So yeah, we're taking out the final high. We've got higher highs. You can see here we have a triple drive on price, which is a sort of rare alongside this triple hump on the awesome oscillator. It's a more rare pattern, a slightly rarer pattern than your typical divergence, but when it prints, it's something to pay attention to. And yeah, it's just these nuances that you pick up over time, and then even just small things like the wicks that were left on this structure here. It was, I could sort of sense that this was going to happen before the Trump dump happened. And I often say this, I say this over and over again, that everything I need, do you pay attention to news ONF? No, I don't, because everything I need to see is in the charts. And again, it goes back 100%. To keeping things as simple as possible, really stripping it back. I used to, Forex Factory, all of that, have the alerts set up. I'd spin up all these things in my head, all these sort of narratives that would just completely delude me, confuse me, and, like I said, I'm confused enough as it is. I'm still oftentimes 59.41. So, I need to make that 50, 40, 60, 70, 30 as the years go on. Hopefully things will start getting clearer for me, and it won't feel like I'm shooting in the dark quite as much. Even though those shots normally land, it still feels like I'm shooting in the dark, which is at times anyway.
Yeah.
And I believe if we go back to the delta as well, where are we? So yeah, if we go to the 4 hour, you can start to see some positive delta in this area here. So ignore all of this and imagine you were just seeing the chart from here. You can start to see that the market buying taking place into the limit asks, i.e. the stronger hand in the market, was showing itself by way of positive delta. And it was an interesting trade for me actually as well, because I'm normally sort of, I chase into positions via limit chaser, which is the same thing as market orders, but basically just means that I'm not sucking any fees on that side of things. And can chase me into position, but normally to come out as well, I'm normally chasing. But here what I did was, I can't remember where it was, I believe it was this low. Basically set some stink bids to take me out, right? So I scaled a ladder of bids in this area. It was something like this, right? And got very, very lucky, right? This Trump dump occurred overnight. And basically, I was completely filled and exited out of the position. So let's say the entry was somewhere like here. Can't quite remember which confirmation candle I took. Give it a bit more room in case we get that last sort of fuck you spike, and then take it down here. And then obviously this is all equal. So you take the mid sort of range of this ladder, and I was just taken out of the position fully by limit.
Nice.
It was.
That's sick.
It was one of my best trades.
Beautiful trade
to memory, really, and still at this time, I put out a tweet, with the sort of entry and exit and all that sort of stuff, and I was really doing it because I felt imposter syndrome myself, because this was so not, even part of my playbook. I was sort of just doing it to document it myself, but
that's a sick trade.
Yeah, I mean, we grow and we progress, and it was sometimes, and I say this often, as like, even though I try and come out manually and reactively to my trades, it's nice to have those sort of stinks in place, right? Whether it's stink bids or stink asks, but not stink bids and stink asks to enter, but simply to exit once you're in position. Just put them at a ridiculous place whereby you know that if it's going to fill without you seeing it, that's going to happen overnight when you're sleeping. That's the only way that you can see it. And for it to move, from this point here to this point overnight, 16%, one of my rules is when I see something occur very sharp against my position, then I want to be exiting it, right? So I know that this is going to have to move 16% overnight to fill me. I'd be exiting that anyway, so I may as well do it via limit and scale some ladders there. And But yeah, obviously looking back on it in hindsight, I could have caught a lot more out of this entry because I caught the fucking Pico top. But there you go.
Yeah,
it is what it is, man. It is. We can't sort of fester on those thoughts because
no, that's it.
That's very unhealthy.
That's it. Yeah, and it's one of those things where you could have like had it lower, or it could have retraced as it did quite a considerable way after that wick. You could have closed a little bit when you probably shouldn't have and got less of the trade. So I think that's a sick trade.
Yeah.
And sure. I imagine you woke up that morning like pretty happy.
I was very fucking happy. I was kind of completely in disbelief, really. Yeah, it was because also, part of my playbook is aligning with the trend as much as possible. So I was really going against my sort of fundamental system here because I was fading a top. And I never try and really catch Pico tops or Pico bottoms. And I say this all the time. I'm looking for confirmation to set it and then just sort of catch the meat of the move afterwards, as opposed to trying to nail the tops or the bottoms. When I detect that a potential like trend regime is in shift, then I'll just typically stay away from the desk because I know that that's not where my edge lies. And yeah, too many years of trying to be the hero and getting fucking absolutely scorched.
That's a very good trade, man. That's a very impressive trade. Because the other thing as well, even when I sold my Bitcoin after that drop and on the retrace at about 110, I put it up online that I sold it, and for about a good 3-4 days, you're going against the grain, aren't you? And everyone's saying like 250k, Trump's putting out these tweets and they're doing this, they're doing that, and everything's going to just keep going up. And to short that market like takes balls, because especially if you're active on social media. I think if you're just like in your own zone and you're watching this, like it's a little bit easier to take. But if you put your balls on the line like publicly and in front of people on a massive trend that's been going up for like 3 years, like it takes a lot of stones to do that. So fair play, man.
100%, man, 100%.
That was a really good trade.
Thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, I believe one of my previous live streams, I was, I'd just taken the position and I was talking about it, and it's always nice to know that you've been public about it and then look back and be like,
I wanted to say a couple of things as well that you brought up during that, because one of them was about the news as well. And I think a lot of people, when they come into the markets, they always look for a reason for why things move up or down, and they can always one of the things I've seen recently is like the market's moved down and everyone's like blaming Trump for it, and it's something that I've always just kind of called market law. It's just going to do what it's going to do, and there's no real rhyme or reason for it. But if you if you just look at the price action, like what you said, you can read the chart and you can tell what the news is going to be afterwards. Not all the time, but because obviously you'll get news events where it completely whipsaws and fucks around.
Sure.
But in hindsight, you can kind of say, hey, this was really obvious. Like one of the best examples of that is Brexit. If you go back to GBP USD, and maybe I'll just do it quickly now. You can kind of see like, how are you going to call that vote? Because everyone was saying like, we're not going to leave. And then I don't know if this is going to go all the way back. It must have been here, 2016. Is that it?
I am very bad with dates. I have to Google it.
Yeah, it was like mid 2016. It was here.
Okay.
It was this massive candle here, right? But if you look at a kind of supply and demand perspective, or if you look at the charts, you can see we're in a big downtrend. You can see like multiple highs have tried to take out this level. It fakes the high and then it just nukes down on the lower time frames, which I won't have because it's going back like nearly 10 years.
Yeah.
But it's like stuff is always kind of in the charts.
And I can see in there just by looking at the daily structure of where that fake out occurred. I bet you if you go down to the 1 hour or something, maybe the 2 hour, and whack an RSI on there, you'd see a bearish divergence as well.
Yeah, you'll find it something else. So, and then I think people always look for some sort of reason for it.
Yeah.
And that's why I put up a little video last night from my last live stream, just saying like the good news comes out at the top and the bad news comes out at the bottom. For some reason, like whether it's like a liquidity trap that people are trying to dump on retail, but up here, if you go back to the news cycle and see what kind of news was pumping out, you would have been a fucking retard to fade that news, because everything was screaming that it's going to go up another, like it's going to double in price.
Sure.
And then what I said as well, I don't know if you remember it, but I remember it super clearly, because this is where I got in on the bull market. Down here, about 20K in early 2023, I think it was Silicon Valley Bank closed down.
Okay.
And the narrative around that point was you push up and then you put in another high that kind of respects this high, and then it makes a lower low. And you'd be like, this is. I remember at the time, everyone was saying it's going to come down here. It's going to go even lower.
Sure.
And then Silicon Valley Bank closed at around this point and then shits in this candle and hasn't been tested since, I don't think. Yeah, and then it just comes up here. And I got in around this point here after this break and just been holding since. But if you go with the news at that point, you're like, this is going to go to low. This is going to go like to 10K. I've got to go down there.
Yeah.
And then inversely up here, you're like, this is going to go to 500K.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. And then the other thing I wanted to comment on was you said that you're like 51.49 quite a lot. I still think that's even after this amount of time of trading, I think there's always like a perception from people that haven't been in the game as long that once you've been trading like over a decade, everything's just like easy street. You just like peak flow, peak flow state all the time. It's not like competency where you get behind the wheel of a car and you can just like sit on your phone. You can be eating 100%. Something. And you can. It's not like that. It's not like a skill you've got. Like it requires like constant maintenance and constant refinement.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I still feel like there's so much room for improvement for me. So much.
Even for me,
much.
And
constantly. You're an eternal student, and I still, like I say, I felt imposter syndrome on that trade at the highs. And I, even through my journal reflections and stuff, I still look at trades and I'm like, well, actually, I've kind of just moved into a new regime in my trading where I'm really, really being far more selective. So to say that last trade I took was on BTC at the highs, I would have been trading more actively even 6 months ago to a year ago. But at that time, looking at my journals, I was still looking at some of my journals from a month before and going, what the fuck was I doing? Do you know what I mean? And that's this many years in. So
I'm still getting that now. I've about 2 months ago. So I've been trading like simulated props for best part of maybe 3-4 years now, and I do that alongside my personal account. But trading the props accounts like puts you into a weird mindset where it's like you can, if you lose the account, let's say you do a challenge or you've got a live account and you go down like 4 or 5%, and you kind of, it's easy to go down on a spiral because your brain goes, well, I can just reset this, or I can just go buy another challenge, or I can just start again. I don't like being in drawdown. Like, fuck it, I'll just cancel it. or like I'll just Hail Mary it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'll just buy a new one. And it's very difficult to get out of that mindset. So about 2 months ago, I started trading on Darwin X0, and with the mind basically to build a public track record over the next 12 months. And changing the mindset, like I initially went up on the account, and then I got into like about 5-6% of drawdown, and my brain immediately said like, oh, you can reset this for like 30 quid, like just do that and start again, and then just get like the perfect equity curve and just start on a really strong point. And then my brain said, actually no, fuck it, like you can't just do that, you've got to build yourself out of it. So I traded my way out of it, and then went back down, and then went back up to like break even, and came down, and then back to break even, and that's kind of where I'm floating at the moment. But like even after nearly 11 years of trading, like I'll still have periods of time where I went through my journal and looked at some of the trades I've taken. Let's say out of like 20 trades, about 13-14 of them are like invalid trades, because my mindset was trying to like get out of that drawdown as quickly as possible It was trying to prove something to myself that I can get this account into green and just stay in green.
Sure.
And
sure.
It just
100%.
It's just like constant like mind games.
Well, that's it.
Every single
it's
level.
Mind games. It's mental mastery. It's trading psychology, right? So, or if you guys, if there's any new viewers here, check out the rest of my YouTube full form videos, because I'm trying to carve out a niche in trading psychology. I believe you are as well, Matt. And if you look at most of my videos, I'm talking about mental mastery. I'm talking about trading psychology, because I truly believe that 90% of the work we have to do in this game, after the first 10% of putting down a system and learning the technicals, is that sort of mind game. It's understanding your emotional dispositions. It's understanding the way that your mind works. It's trying to combat the sort of the dispositions that we have psychologically, because even in your case, 11 years into the game, I can see what's happening there. You're looking at something which is uncomfortable. You're having negative thoughts. Those thoughts then translate into emotions. Those emotions sometimes translate into, the hormones. Cortisol, for instance. Stress, and your brain has a defense mechanism built into it. Everyone's does that. It tries to take you out of stressful conditions and environments. And that worked really well when we were hunter-gatherers and we were trying to stay safe. But in the markets, it serves you no purpose or no good,
That's right.
So we have to sort of combat that actively and say to yourself, okay, cool, well, this is just like being in the gym and trying to put on some muscle. All the hard work happens when you're uncomfortable. All of the progress you make is in that sort of period, once you're putting that last few reps in, once you're in that place of feeling uncomfortable, being out of your comfort zone. So you have to sort of take yourself out of that position and go, okay, cool, I just want to top up this account, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sit in the mud with this for a bit, and try and crawl out of it myself. I think that's really important for people to know.
Yeah, I agree. I think as well, like one thing which kind of caught me a little bit blindsided as well was, I used to swing trade up until like late 2021, and then early 2022 is when I decided to go down to a day trading format, and basically spent that time just carving out an edge and understanding my emotions in that. And then after about a good 18 months, I'd say I felt like a good level of not mastery with it, because I still don't feel like that, but to a high degree where I knew I kind of had nailed it. And I'd gone through so many lessons of like revenge trading, FOMO trading, just like death spirals where I would take a loss and then just keep trying to make it back on the same day, and I'd find myself down like 5% in a day. And like I then set rules up, and then I set like you build like these reference points in your head, don't you, where you're like, oh, I remember last time this happened and I ended up like fucking an account up or just going into heavy drawdown. Gotta make sure I don't do this again. And then kind of trained myself mentally to go through these periods of time where instead of clicking the button, I'll be like, I'll just hold on. I'll just wait that little bit longer. And then my edge got better because I started waiting more. I started seeing things more clearly. And then to go back to what I said before, because it takes constant refinement and management. After a period of time, I'm like, okay, this is nailed now. Like I know how to drive gear. I know how to like reverse park and all this. It doesn't like just stay in your brain like that. And then had the baby, had like lost a load of money, and like I now have to do contract work to make ends meet at times, and have to juggle with the family situation. And then I found myself like basically taking the same mistakes over and over again, which I thought I'd ironed out like 2-3 years ago. Like take a loss and I'd be like, okay, I know just to chill for like 15 minutes and then something else will present itself. Take a loss and I'd be like 2 minutes like, fuck, all right, okay, I should have done this, I should have done that. And then it's like relearning all these things. But I think it's every time you take a new challenge or every time you try to level up yourself, you revisit some of these emotional problems. They resurface in some ways, and you, even though you may say, for example, you can trade an account that's worth like $10,000, And then you like nail all the psychological sides, and you're like, right, now I'm going to take an account which is $100,000, and you see the number change, and you see like your brain starts going, oh, if I just make this one winning trade, that pays for all my bills for the month, and hey, I can maybe afford a holiday off of just one trade. Versus what before it was like, if this one trade is like one out of a sequence of 10 trades where I need to go and get that same money out of one trade, it fucks with your brain, and then suddenly you're going through these like past issues again. You have to rework them out.
Completely. I mean, what I say to students always is like slow and steady, slow and fucking steady. You need to just you need to be so patient with this journey, you wouldn't even believe it. Don't just jump in with size, right? Even, you know, what I often say is just paper trade for fucking years, just paper trade, you know, until your stats tracker and your journals tell you that you're ready to size up. Don't put anything on, and then put what you'd spend on a cinema ticket on, you know, $20, whatever it is. Just risk that and just get a feel of putting capital down, and then you can start sizing up incrementally, you know, based on the percentage of your account or whatever it is, and you've got to go really slow. But interesting that you say that about, you know, your sort of your kid, your life, and then having to do contract work and all that sort of stuff, because for you as a sort of scalper, lower time frame trader, that must be really fucking annoying and detrimental to what you do, and a complete new challenge. Whereas for me, I often preach, you know, as a swing trader, it's really good to have a side hustle or even a full-time job, or have a hobby, or, you know, family, friends, all that sort of stuff to lean into as well, because for my style, you need a lot of patience, you need a lot of time away from the charts to not overmanage stuff, or not even just overmanage existing positions, but you have that patience and stringency to wait ages for that setup to occur.
100%.
So yeah, very interesting sort of.
I think it's
discrepancies there.
Yeah, I think it's like along the way, I'll be honest, like I've felt a little bit of resentment towards the situation that I'm in, having like made a decision to have a family, and I'd got to a point with my trading where I thought like, hey, I've nailed it now. I've got this strategy that works. I had about 2 years of just consistent profitability with it on the M1 time frame, and I genuinely thought like, I've nailed this. But I'd nailed it in conditions where I could go to bed at the exact same time every single night. I can sleep 7-8 hours, like completely uninterrupted. I can get up, I can be completely uninterrupted in front of the charts. Once I've done the charts, I can go to the gym, I can control my diet, I can go and do everything that I want to do. And it was sweet. And then you introduce someone else, and then you introduce another little person into it, and it completely fucked it up. And I've spent time over the past year generally being a bit like, fucking hell, like everything's getting in the way of my trading. Everything's getting in the way of me. But it's like, but it's something you have to go through, because now I wouldn't change it for the world. Of course. Because, you know, like we said yesterday, complete joy out of having a family. It's something that, and you have to have a little bit of perspective, right? We're just looking at fucking like candlesticks on a screen. Like it's not that deep, bro.
Well, exactly.
It's really not
what are the
that
important
deep,
things in life? I mean, ultimately, you know, as much as we may love trading, that's not what, you know, that's not what's important, you know.
That's it. Yeah.
So it's the family is everything. You come with nothing, you go with nothing at the end of the day. So yeah. Yeah,
that's it. And it's like along the way, I think when you have these, like the way I look at things now is kind of a bit of a reframe in your brain. I was talking to David Bell about this the other day, where you kind of you can get a little bit woe is me. I particularly can as well. Like from my background, I've always struggled with self-belief. I'm 36 now. I'm 37 next month. And up until I was 33, 34, I've struggled with self-belief. And the thing that actually helped
That's good news for me.
Was, it's like what you said, like you've got to fill your day with stuff. Because trading can't consume your life. And I always say trading needs to be a feature of your day, not your whole day. And then when you get into a point where you want to escape your current lifestyle, you look at trading as this like massive opportunity to do that, because you can generally make so much money out of it. It really doesn't help that you can go online and you can see a load of people just talking absolute bollocks about what trading is, the most like cliche things that are completely untrue. So when you said, just like I started demo trading for the first like 18 to 20 months of my trading career. I started in 2015 and I didn't touch a live account. And then if you tell people that, And these are people that have not made money trading. They'll be like, you can't do that because you don't put your emotions on the line, and you don't do, and there's no skin in the game. It's like, shut the fuck up, because you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
And after that period of time, I knew exactly what I was doing. I didn't feel like, if I put money into a live account, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know what this chart says. I don't know anything about emotions that come up with trading. But once I kind of had an idea of what I was doing, then I was happy to put money onto it. But you'll see loads of cliche things online that people kind of read through textbooks, and it's more like book smart rather than street smart. I was talking to Will Hunting about this as well. Like last month I went for dinner with him, and he was saying, and it was so refreshing because he's been trading like 25 odd years. One of the things that really pisses me off online is like people will say, you can't trade your profit and loss, you can't trade your unrealized gains and all that. And he said to me, actually you can, because some days you're not feeling it. You might be down on the day. Maybe you could be down like 1R, and you might have a position that's 1R up. And it's kind of like you're not feeling it. Something's going on in the back of your head. You might have had a shit night's sleep. You might have your missus like been going in your ear or something, or whatever. And you might go,
I'm forwarding this as we speak, mate.
I give it all to her. So you might be like, okay, I'm 1 hour up, I can end the day, like break even, and I'm not feeling great. I can just come back tomorrow and do it. Like, you can do these things. I feel like people are so rigid with things because they're like, I must fit influencer marketer into this. And there are these like trading gospels that no one can go against. But like when you've been in the game long enough, you realize like a lot of this is bullshit. And I think it's a real detriment to people who are trying to learn to trade, the amount of bollocks that's online these days. And
100%.
Like you said, the psychological side of it is really what people need to be working on, because you can get like, you put out so much like good free stuff. There's so much good free stuff that's valid online. Thank you. But the reason why I've basically put my edge online is because I know from experience, having run a trading group in the past, I could give someone a trade setup. I could give a group of people the trade setup. They all trade it differently. Literally, like 90% of them trade it differently. So I can put all of this up, and like the most basic patterns, you can go do the hindsight analysis and see like 50 examples of it working. I can give it to you right now, and you go, holy shit, this is the fucking like golden goose. This is it. Now I've got this. I follow this guy, and he's got this strategy, and blah blah blah. And then like a week later, you're like, this is bullshit. Like, I can't get it to work.
Well, it just goes to show that, the aphorism I was talking about earlier, 10% being technical is 90% psychology. If you're giving someone that setup, you're giving them a tenth of what they need. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
The other 9/10, they have to sort that out themselves. And that only comes through first-hand experience, through flight hours, through experience and skin in the game. And, I'll be the first to say that this thing that we do is a fucking pilgrimage. It's not easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And, anyone that says that it is easy, you should probably feel pretty tentative and a sense of trepidation around following them. It's something which, like I say, even this many years in, oftentimes 51, 49, and it's very different to being at a trading firm, what we do. And I imagine a lot of the followers that are watching this as well, it's, we're what I call bedroom traders, basement traders. Do you know what I mean? We're doing this all on our own 2 feet. It's a very isolated craft. Self-esteem can be battered to lows that you've never seen before. Doubt seeps in to such a high degree. And all of these negative emotions. And, I don't know I think you do know this about me, Matt, but I've got a stomach condition off the back of stress, cortisol. I've been working with this for like 6 years now, man, 5-6 years. And, I've been sober now for 17 months and not out of choice. I can't have a drink. I can't even have a beer without getting really bad acid reflux and stuff, because I had gastritis and just so many years of... And, my mates always come here to my crib in Portugal. I've obviously emigrated, and I've got a 5-bedroom place next to the sea, and they're like, oh, your life is so sweet, it's incredible, it's amazing, look at your fucking where you live. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I had to really go through so much toil and pain to get here. Inside me physically, I'm still suffering from the repercussions of that. It just goes to show that it's not all rainbows and daisies, and it is a fucking graft. It's a slog, and if you commit yourself to it, then you will come out the other end for sure. But it's not easy, and it comes with with difficulties as well. So I think you and me are, I'd like to say, some of the real ones on social media, and often I say you should detox social media, and because it's ultimately a game of clout farming with a lot of charlatans out there as well. And
like the biggest accounts, the like genuinely the biggest accounts, the most reputable people you think you will find online are all full of shit. Like, and I know this. I'm not going to say why, but and who and everything, but like even speaking to Kieran, who works at Darwin X, and he has said that obviously he's part of a really big firm, and they want to onboard these people that are online, and they're making look like we're super profitable and blah blah blah, and gets them onto this platform, and none of them fucking like trade like profitably. They all blow it, and then they all forget about it, and then they go back to posting about like bullshit. But like in terms of like social media detox, I had 3.5 years off of it, and it goes back to what we were saying earlier about when you took that short at the top and you go against the grain. If you're taking that without being like online, you're going to find it a lot easier to kind of understand. Like you're not going to be.
Man,
like,
I haven't scrolled my Twitter feed in a year.
Really?
Literally, I deleted it off my phone, the app, and I only hop on the desktop to post something, and that's literally it. And if you struggle with this, guys that are watching, there's I can't remember what it's called. It's called, like, you search it in the App Store. It's a way of basically like configuring your Twitter, and you can have it so it's read-only mode. You can go into like Zen mode where you can't see other people's tweets, and it's quite a nice way to sort of curate it.
I need this. I want this. You have to send it to me after.
I'll send it to you. I'll see if I've got it in my bookmarks here.
I've got another good app called Stay Focused, which will block. You can put blocks on how much time you're on your phone. Like that's you can put like 20 minutes a day. Yeah, I think that's a really.
My uses that a lot. But it's called minimal theme for Twitter.
Minimal theme. Okay.
And you could. I started doing that, and then I ended up just completely moving away from it. To be honest, it was sort of like weaning myself off sort of thing. And I think social media as well is just like, a massive part of that dopamine addiction. Do you know what I mean? Which is why it's also a problem. If you're going to succeed in this game, you have to battle your dopamine addiction. 99% of us, the really, let's say, neurodiverse people aside, we all have dopamine addiction when we come into this, right? Unless you're a rare anomaly to that. If you get a win, it feels good. If you, get a positive equity curve number go up, make you feel good, right? We're all apes at the end of the day, and that's what it comes down to. But I think that dopamine addiction massively bleeds into social media, where sometimes without even knowing it, right? You're sitting on the sofa, you're watching TV, your hand just like picks up the phone, and you'll start scrolling, and you're just like there, just lost in the scroll, and that's like micro doses of that. Dopamine just being leaked into your brain whenever you feel like you're picking up a new edge, or you're seeing something which is going to lead you to a new piece of alpha or whatever. It is a dopamine trap in a way as well. Do you know what I mean? And like, we talk about monk mode, we talk about moving into that Zen stance in the markets and mental mastery and all these things, and that is essentially the antithesis of dopamine addiction and moving towards a state where you understand your mind. You're not a slave to any of these sort of emotional afflictions. And again, that's why all the content I'm doing is around these sort of topics. And it's funny because, you look at, if you type in trading on YouTube, it's all trading for beginners, it's all technical analysis, it's all buy this and make £1 million in a year and all that sort of stuff. And you can make $3,000 a day doing this and blah, blah, blah. But like, ultimately what really fucking moves the needle is the trading psychology. It's understanding your mind. It's working with that. And there's just no content online about all of this stuff. It's all just, flashing you indicators, sexing you this and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But it's all the stuff which people believe that will, get rich quick schemes, essentially. People don't want to put in the stock. They don't want to put in the hard work. And, unless you're very closely mentored by someone or some people that are very, very experienced, and you can expedite your journey in a very sort of rare and novel way, then you're going to have to grind out for a long time and put that time in. Otherwise, good luck to you otherwise. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's in terms of like your dopamine as well, you've only got a finite amount that you can get through in a day, or your energy as well, right? So if you're just
100%.
you're scrolling, you're just depleting your energy in your brain. And then when it comes to sitting there at the charts, then you're dipping into a tank that is like quarter full rather than being completely full.
But
you're not
exactly.
I think the thing is as well, and it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about how people will look at the news and they will look for reasons for why the chart moved in a certain way, and they think they'll get those answers from social media, so they will stay on it. Or I have to go and look at what this person says, because when this person says something, like that gives me conviction. Whereas that leads you down a path of always relying on someone else, and that will lead you down a path of always looking for a reason where there doesn't have to be a reason. And it again goes back to the self-belief thing as well. Like, you have to find a way to believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's executing the trades. You're the one that's placing the stop loss, the TP and everything. You're the one that's getting the read on it. If you don't trust yourself, then you won't make it in this game, and you will not find self-belief from trading, because it is the hardest game. And trading is a catalyst for self-improvement. Like, it will show you where you're, like, where all your problems are, where your strengths are as well. But if I think what you said as well, you've got to kind of have a side hustle. You've got to have something else going on in your life to focus on, because let's say I do think, like, after having been in the game for over 10 years now, I thought after 3 years I'd made it. I thought I started making money and I started being profitable. I had my trading group. It was going really well. Like, all my calls were like massive strike rate. And I was like, this is it. Like, this is the holy grail. I've nailed it. And it is just like one step on like a massive staircase. And there's no end goal in sight. Actually, that staircase doesn't lead to anywhere. You just get better. you get more challenges on the way. You just level up. But the same frustrations you'll have as a new trader, like trying to figure it out, you'll still have those same frustrations like 10 years down the line with learning how to manage like 7 figures compared to like managing like putting $2 on a trade. It's just like a completely different scale. But yeah, I think when I made the decision, like mid 2023, I'd been full-time trading for about 3 and a bit years, and I'd had some successes and I'd had a lot of failure, jumping down to the lower time frames. I wasn't talking to any traders and I was just doing it all myself. And then I made the decision to start doing some contract work on the side, and almost overnight, just making that decision to bring extra money and completely transform my trading. And everyone has this goal, myself included, of having like that lifestyle. I want to be a full-time trader. I want to make 10 grand a month or like 10 grand a day. Depends who you follow. I want the Lamborghini and stuff, but it's not a realistic lifestyle. That is a marketing lifestyle. And if you speak to any successful trader, if you speak to anyone who's been in the game for a long time, it's really fucking boring. Like, I put a bunch of like day in the life vlogs up last year from when I was full-time trading, and every single week it was the same shit. And I was like, what? No one's going to watch this because it's really boring. Like, I get to my computer, I trade, and then I go to the gym and I go for a walk, and that's it. Oh, thank you. But you know what I mean? Like, it is boring. It's not like get up and like, here's my like apartment looking over Dubai, and then we're going to go to the beach, and then I'm going to take my phone out. Oh, I've just got an alert on my phone whilst I'm in the Uber down to the beach, and I'm just going to place a trade. Oh, hey guys, we're at the beach and it's at 5 up. It's bullshit. It's like no one does that, but it's the stuff that gets clicked, and it's the problem with the psychology stuff is that it's only for serious people, and not many people are serious with it. But if you are serious with it, like, there's you will go through hell. Like, this game will put you down to your knees before it takes you to the promised land. But during that period of time where you're going through the mental struggles and you're going through like basically hell and all this personal growth, once you come out the other side of it, you'll have something where not only do you not look for validation from other people, which is what we all do as humans, you will have a level of self-belief which you can translate into anything else.
Personal inner strength as well, to be able to deal with other stuff in life, you know. My wife had a particularly difficult labour, and there was a time where I thought I was gonna lose her, to be completely honest.
Oh shit,
she lost
really?
blood and all that sort of stuff. And you know, times like that in personal life, you know, there's such a mental hardening that takes place during trading, where you kind of are fortified in a way. And I often talk about therapy, meditation, those sorts of things being really good. I haven't seen him for a while, but spoke to a really amazing therapist and a good friend of mine, and you know, he basically tried to instill this sort of philosophy inside of me, which is strength mode, right? I was going through a lot of stress had my stomach to sort of deal with as well. And you hear a lot of people, as soon as you go down the mental health sort of exploration and route, people say it's okay to feel weak, it's okay to feel vulnerable.
Yeah.
And that was really, really poisonous to me. It was so dangerous because I basically removed all these barriers that I'd built up, and was just taking these hits in life, taking these hits on the trading desk, in real life, whatever it is, and there was no sort of barrier there. There was no defense that was in place. So, my therapist went through my life, analysed me as a person, and said, okay, well, I actually think that one of your strengths is, being strong. Do you know what I mean? And it's not being vulnerable, it's not being weak. And funnily enough, it wasn't actually my therapist. It was talks with my therapist that came up with the strength mode title, but it was actually in a psychedelic ceremony in South America that took place, where it was actually a really difficult experience to go through in Ecuador with one of my best mates who's gone down the sort of shamanic route over there. And it was 16 hours of being in the freezing cold. You're up super high altitudes. You're sipping a pretty funky Kool-Aid.
Is it ayahuasca?
San Pedro.
I never heard of that.
Yeah.
Same type of compound, is it?
It's just, same thing. It's mescaline. And it was an extremely difficult experience to go through. I mean, even at one point, we had to get up. This is like 12 hours into the whole session. Get up and sit at the top of a jaguar head, the skin that was on the floor in front of this roaring fire, and basically do a speech to all these native South Americans for 10 minutes or whatever, and talk about yourself and your life and your experiences. And it was such a difficult thing to do. It was interesting. It sort of reminded me, it was like my trading journey condensed into a night. It was such a surreal experience, but I got through that, and again, that was sort of what taught me. I was like, my strength is being strong. Do you know what I mean? I've learned that through trading. I've learned that through the last 10 years I've spent in the markets, and I think it's dangerous for anyone that sort of goes down the mental health path, which I very much advocate you do. But it's dangerous because, if you hear that it's okay to feel weak, it's okay to feel vulnerable, for me, that was a very dangerous thing to hear. And I think, if you can build yourself up to take the hits. And it's interesting as well, because you listen to our parents, and they didn't have mental health problems back then, do you know what I mean? And it's because they'd sort of, it's just like that sort of, they'd fortified themselves, do you know what I mean? You get on with life, if you have to you can't choose to be an entrepreneur, you can't choose to do this creative work. Back then it was just, you fucking get on with life and you do it, do you know what I mean? Especially as a bloke. And I feel like they really, I think, although I feel like to be a trader to your best degree, you need to master your mind. So you can't take that approach. But when you do delve into the mind, I think it's important to realise that it's good to feel strong as well. Do you know what I mean? And have that sort of resilience. And you'll need that to survive as a trader. I don't know about you, Matt, but there's been so many times where I've been tested, and you need to dig deep to find that inner strength. And without that, you're going to crumble, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's funny because when we talked about with trading, like having a simple approach, you go through like a million different ways to trade, and then you just bring it back down to like the simplest form. In the same way, like with your mental health, I remember seeing something years back, and it was like the way to be happy is just to choose to be happy. And it's like, if you're depressed, just choose not to be depressed.
Yeah.
And if you read that as someone, what the fuck are you talking about? I can't just, actually you can. But you have to go through like this entire process to like realize it's like, something's happened today, like, and it's going to get in the way of something, or it's going to piss me off, or it's going to make me feel shit. Mm-hmm. But I can actually just choose how to react to that. Like objectively, this thing has happened. If I bring my emotions to it, I'm just going to make myself feel worse, or I can just get on with it. And myself, I didn't grow up with a father figure in my life, and that I lacked that strength to. I had a very female way of dealing with emotions up until in like my early 30s, when I started realizing, again from a mushroom trip, funny enough. Maybe there's something to psychedelics, but I had a trip, and I took a bit too much, and I remember like kind of laying in bed waiting for it to settle down, and feeling sorry for myself, and then this like voice deep down inside was just like, fucking get up, what are you doing, like sitting in bed, like you every time you have something bad happen, you always find a way to get out, so just like focus on that. And
go smoke a spliff. What are you doing, man? You're wasting your time in here. Stop staring at the fucking ceiling, man.
Yeah, that's it. My cousin, the weed, is like telling you like to go smoke it, you know. So yeah, and then like I have a period in my life where I felt like I was sleepwalking, and like it's about 4 years nearly to the day where I took my first mushroom trip, and I have a life before mushrooms and I have a life after mushrooms, and like it really kind of slapped me into a reality, and to find this inner strength and to work on certain things. And I'm not saying to everyone you have to go take a mushroom trip or you have to go to South America and like do some DMT or anything, but like I occasionally I will microdose. And the clarity I will get is, you know, when you take that first hit of weed, like you've had a stressful day, you might lie down at the end of the day on the sofa and you just, like it feels like that all day, having like just 0.2 grams of a little bit of psilocybin. So I do that occasionally as well.
What does your equity curve look like during the microdosing period? Just out of interest.
I can buy a Lambo when I'm on that.
What, like a little miniature one, like one of the toy ones?
Yeah, it's right here. Hold on.
Exactly. I've got 5 in my drawer.
That's it. But it's like one of those things that will you know, when you're trading, and particularly if you're a bit stressed out in your personal life, and you get to the charts, you're like, right, I'm in my zone, I'm in my area, right, I'm gonna go make shit happen, I'm gonna change something. And if you've got that stress, that's when you revenge trade. That's when you click when you don't need to click. But if you've got that psilocybin, it will just kind of put everything to the side and be like, oh, there's nothing I need to do today, so I'm just going to take the day off. Or, oh, look, something really clear is setting up, then I can take it.
Interesting.
But yeah, I think there's definitely something to psychedelics, and it helped build some pathways in my brain to kind of get to where I am now, for sure. Like, but even setting up.
That's really interesting. Sorry, crack on. I want to remember what you just talked about with pathways, though. I want to make a note there.
Yeah. Just like building habits like meditation, reading a book, going for a walk, doing some journaling each day, making sure I'm doing something which tests me, so that like I always say to people, like, to do planking. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it to you before. Yeah, just do a plank. It's like free. You can do it anywhere, anytime. And if you say to yourself you're going to go until absolute failure, you will notice at a point where you're struggling, you'll be like, oh, fuck this is horrible, I just want to end this now. But then a voice will come into your head and go, no, I've committed to doing this until failure, or I'm going to do it until 2 minutes, or I'm going to do it for 3 minutes. And then that voice, like, you'll start strengthening, like that voice that you then start paying attention to is like, it will bring yourself to the charts, but also bring itself into other points, like in your life. The kitchen's messy, I'll just do it tomorrow, whatever. And then that voice will go, no, do it now, you'll feel better, it's out the way, you don't have to ruminate on it. And then you'll get to the charts, it's like, this looks like it's going to break down, it's not valid, but I don't want it to go without me. And then that voice goes, no, stick to the process, stick to your trading. But yeah, like it's stuff that I think not a lot of people kind of bring into their day, and they will waste time scrolling on their phone, which is why, like, you have an app on it that blocks bullshit like Instagram, Netflix, Twitter, and everything. But it's kind of
for sure. And
piece on that.
Just to go back to what you were talking about neural pathways, I've been working with my animator recently, putting together the next video, which should be out in the next few days. But it's basically talking. It's a motivational piece, trying to urge people to stay on the path and not keel over, sort of thing. It talks about, we've basically been putting together this visualization, this animation of like where you are or where you start to where you want to get to. And then it's basically like this sort of bridge that forms, but the bridge is constructed by these different neural pathways that sort of link up. And it's nice. Like fiber optics sort of thing, or like a network sort of visualization. And each of those, thousands of lines that join together are the losses. Do you know what I mean? They're the losses that you have to endure, and it just crafts your mind, your neural pathways, basically. In the same way that I was talking about, where your brain tries to take you out of stressful situations, your brain is, in the same way that your body functions and your organs work without you knowing that they work, your brain does things in the background as well. And it's pretty fucking sophisticated in its design, and, it will do things to you know, it will go, okay, cool, you're not going to give up in trading, we better get you there as quickly as possible. So it does magic in the background of linking up these sort of neural pathways that form off the back of these losses, that form off the back of these stressful situations, in order for your brain to say, okay, cool, you're experiencing all of this at the moment, but I'm also going to put in the work to make sure this doesn't happen in a few years. And I do think it's, you know, these different neural pathways that sort of open up as a result of all the losses. And, you know, I'm just like everyone else out there who's competitive or human. We hate fucking losses, but, you know, in the words of Michael Jordan, he hates losses, but you need the losers to, you know, losing is a crucial part of winning, and we have to understand that as well, you know?
It comes down to like habits as well, doesn't it? And what you're feeding, in the same way that if you're doing a load of bicep curls and you just keep doing the bicep curls and you're feeding that energy, you're going to build bigger muscles. And then if you're doing habits which are destructive, but you keep doing them, the pathways in your brain get strong, and they have like strong roots, if you like, and it becomes very hard to break them because it's like a default mode. And then once you kind of rewire things, and instead of like not making your bed, for example, every single morning you make your bed, and then suddenly that becomes the habit without even thinking about it. I got this from Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you've ever read any of his stuff.
Is he the guy that sort of self-healed himself through his mind?
He hit what, sorry?
Did he like heal himself? Like he had a car accident or something and healed himself?
Not sure.
Or am I maybe thinking about someone completely else?
Yeah, it's probably the same principle. But yeah, he's got a book called it's got it there. I always forget the name of it. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and he talks about how you create new brain cells and neural pathways to build new habits when you learn new things and when you start fueling those behaviors. And then combined that with Atomic Habits as well. Like there were two. I read those two. Like I read the Joe Dispenza's book and then Atomic Habits afterwards, and then it was just like oh shit, I see. Where it's not, you don't just get to the charts and you just start clicking and then like drawing a few boxes and start trading. You need to have like some sort of routine, and you need to have something where you're taking care of your brain so that when you come to the charts, you're not doing the bullshit.
Yeah, 100%.
So all very interesting stuff. Yeah. I'd recommend that book if you haven't read it.
Okay, nice. Well, Matt, it's been fucking amazing having you on as always, dude. Yeah. Really, really appreciate it. Love having these sessions with you, and I feel like we have these chats whether we were on live stream or not. But I hope everyone appreciates listening into our rambles and waffles. Anything else you want to add before you want to maybe we clock off here and let everyone enjoy their weekends?
Yeah, let's do that. I don't know if there's anything in the chat. I haven't looked.
Let's have a quick look actually and just see if there's any questions, shall we?
Yeah, I feel like we covered a lot, and there's probably something. But yeah, it's been a good chat, man. I didn't realise how long it's been.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Things have flown. I don't think there's any questions per se. It's more just statements and kind comments. Appreciate all of these guys. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, listen, Matt, have a wicked weekend, man. And love to have you on again at some point. We'll pick this up again at some point.
Yeah. All right, thanks for having me, man. All right, you have a good weekend.
Big love. Take care and have a nice weekend.
Take care.
Ciao, man.
See you later.